What if the person you trusted most was living a double life just miles from your home? My wife Mandy had everything: love, family, freedom, and a bright orange Beetle convertible. I never questioned her late-night trips or client meetings until one strange receipt unraveled it all. A luxury hotel, a private club, a secret so bizarre, so intimate, I had to see it with my own eyes. What I found shattered everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and the woman I married. This isn't fiction. This is the story of how I uncovered my wife's darkest secret and what I did next. Welcome to Emotional Love Stories. Don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments section, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest stories. Wishing you enjoyable, relaxing moments. Thank you. Now let's embark on the journey into the story. My wife Mandy embarks on a journey of just over 8,000 miles each year, primarily navigating the roads for short business trips to connect with clients. In the heart of Surrey stands our detached villa, nestled near the infamous M25 motorway, a relentless ribbon that encircles the bustling city of London. It's a lovely place to call home, yet a brief journey along the M25 can stretch on for what feels like ages. As Mandy navigates the relentless traffic jams on the M25, she finds her own delightful escape. With a stash of snacks and soft drinks by her side, she tunes into the cheerful melodies of bubblegum radio, transforming the mundane into a whimsical journey. Her affection for the bright orange Volkswagen Beetle convertible adds a delightful charm to her adventures. Behold a fresh chapter in the Volkswagen saga, featuring a robust 2-liter engine that roars to life, a cutting-edge audio system that fills the air with sound, a sleek black soft top that whispers elegance, and sumptuous black leather seats that cradle you in comfort. Many would say it's a charming little car, yet that hasn't deterred her from filling the interior with candy bar wrappers, empty drink containers, and various bits and bobs. It's quite amusing to think about how she navigates a vehicle built for exhilarating speeds of over 120 miles per hour. Yet she often finds herself either at a complete standstill or inching along the notoriously busy roads of the UK. Mandy's journey as a university student began with an old Volkswagen Beetle, a car that held a treasure trove of cherished memories for her. In a time long before our paths crossed, she resided under the same roof as her parents. Though I never inquired, it seems probable that her fond recollections are intertwined with intimate moments shared in the snug confines of a bug. Once upon a time, when Volkswagen breathed new life into the Beetle, she couldn't help but express her longing for one, her words dancing with excitement and dreams. Heeding the subtle suggestion, I procured the luxurious convertible she had longed for to celebrate her 50th birthday. She acquired a personal registration number that was meant for her. It was a staggering sum for a license plate adorned with her initials and the letters Bug, a whimsical touch that seemed to defy reason. The little car earned the charming name of the Baby Bug, and while Mandy held a fondness for it, she often overlooked the tire pressure and fluid levels. So, it fell to me to take care of those details on a regular basis. While some may find comfort in a cluttered car, I cannot bear the sight of a dirty vehicle. Thus, I took it upon myself to clear out the empty cardboard boxes, discarded paper cups, food wrappers, and various other bits of trash that had accumulated. It was an ordinary moment, one I kept to myself, never giving it a second thought. Mandy never expressed her gratitude, likely unaware of my efforts, but it didn't bother me. I always managed to scrounge up enough coins from the refuse to treat myself to a couple of beers at our neighborhood pub when the day came to a close. Given our comfortable standard of living and the good money we both make, it's no wonder Mandy was a bit careless with her change. Mandy weaves her expertise as a business consultant, guiding a tapestry of companies in crafting strategies that nurture and expand their enterprises. Once upon a time, there was a freelance project manager known to all as Michael. Though his true name was Dave, not Terrence, the name Michael had a charm that even his wife embraced. He specialized in the intricate world of change management projects, weaving stories of transformation and growth in every endeavor he undertook. What is the reason behind this? This is a brief reference to the Terminator. Transformations in projects often lead to a few unfortunate souls deciding to leave, and it falls upon me to handle the tough tasks. Once upon a time, in the bustling halls of a university, two kindred spirits crossed paths. Mandy and I, both on a quest for knowledge in the realm of business administration, began our journey together. Our bond was so strong that even before we exchanged vows, we took the leap and established our own limited company, Alpha Business Consultants Limited. In our youthful innocence, we were fortunate to receive invaluable guidance and financial backing from my father, a man of great esteem in the world of commercial law. Sadly, my father has departed from this world. He passed away from an illness a few years back. In the early days of our company, he stepped up to take on the role of director. His enthusiastic participation brought the gravitas we required to engage with potential clients at the negotiating table. In exchange, we gifted my father a number of company shares, and he was ever eager to impart his skills, knowledge, and experience to us. In the beginning, Mandy and I poured our hearts into nurturing the foundation of our company, ABC, as we sought to cultivate a clientele in need of consulting guidance for their strategic business planning. Yet, as time passed, we came to understand that our abilities were truly distinct. Mandy excels at guiding companies toward their future aspirations, while my talent lies in addressing the challenges of the present moment. She weaves together the visions of what people desire, while I navigate the twists and turns that arise when the unexpected unfolds. In a moment of shared understanding, both Mandy and Dad recognized the importance of ABC honing in on its strategic vision rather than getting lost in the details of implementation. Thus, we reached a consensus that I would embark on a new journey as an independent consultant, dedicating myself to the art of guiding organizations through the intricate dance of change management. In the heart of ABC, Mandy persevered, standing as the sole beacon of dedication and hard work. Once upon a time, in a cozy home filled with laughter, our twin daughters, Emily and Chloe, embarked on their own adventures, leaving for university a few years back. But in the days of their childhood, I transformed a room on the ground floor into a whimsical ABC office, complete with a charming sign on the door, inviting all who passed by into a world of imagination. In the realm of work, where tasks intertwine and ideas flourish, there lies a space known as the office. Either Mandy or I could step into that space and immerse ourselves in our work, free from any distractions. Over time, it transformed into Mandy's domain, as my work often takes me into the field with clients, while she tends to her tasks primarily from home. In her world, there were around 50 key clients, each one seeking her wisdom and guidance, and in return, they paid her for the invaluable consulting services she provided whenever they needed her expertise. In contrast to Mandy, my journey didn't often lead me to a full-time business. Instead, I found myself receiving referrals and frequently stepping into the role of an assistant for a prominent management consultancy known far and wide. In the usual course of my work, I would focus on a single client, dedicating weeks or even months to guide them through significant transformations like relocating an office or restructuring an organization. Once I wrapped up a project, I often found myself indulging in a well-deserved break, sometimes stretching it out for days or even weeks, until the next adventure beckoned. Embracing the unknown can be a thrilling adventure for some, and I found joy in those moments, savoring the time spent with a good book and honing my culinary talents. It also provided me with the opportunity to tackle much of the routine upkeep around the house that didn't need a professional's touch. In Mandy's office, I took it upon myself to regularly tend to the fish tank, ensuring it sparkled and the fish thrived in their aquatic home. She came across a notion that a vast aquarium filled with vibrant tropical fish could enhance her thought process, so she felt compelled to acquire one. She had a fondness for the aquarium, yet the thought of its maintenance and care felt like a burden she couldn't bear. She might have believed that pH was merely a pair of arbitrary letters. Ultimately, it was I who took it upon myself to ensure the fish thrived and flourished. In those moments when Mandy would embark on her brief business trips, I found solace in the quiet solitude, never voicing any discontent. Likewise, she embraced my absence during my week-long endeavors at distant sites, never uttering a word of complaint. Indeed, I believe that our personal lives flourished during those moments of separation, particularly after our 2 daughters embarked on their own journeys and we found ourselves in solitude. Once we find ourselves as empty nesters, I envision a vibrant chapter ahead, filled with adventures that could rekindle our spirits. Perhaps we'll wander through the charming streets of Paris or Rome, indulging in romantic weekends that breathe new life into our social lives. Humans weave their intricate plans, yet the divine chuckles in amusement, as the saying goes. Once upon a time, everything shifted the moment Mandy walked through the door, cradling little dog in her arms. Once upon a time, there was a charming little dog known as a Shih Tzu, often referred to as a Chinese lion dog. Each time I lay my eyes on him, a whimsical tale dances in my mind about a fellow who ventured to a zoo that housed but a single creature, a dog. Once upon a time, there was a charming little Shih Tzu. It stirred a bit of irritation within me that Mandy decided to bring a dog into her life without first having a conversation with me. Little dog had a warm demeanor, but I sensed from the start that the time would come when I would need to take him for walks and care for him in Mandy's absence, and perhaps even in her presence. When she first welcomed him into her life, he was merely a playful puppy, full of energy and mischief, and in need of some guidance to learn the ways of the house. So, who do you think earned the reward for their efforts? He wasn't called Teddy merely for his size. In a time not so distant, he found himself scribbling thoughts in every nook and cranny he could discover. Mandy held a special place in her heart for Teddy. He was truly her loyal companion, nestled on her lap at every opportunity that arose. As he reclined beside her on the sofa, she gently stroked him, her eyes fixed on the flickering screen of the television. He took his place on the chair beside her at the dinner table, and come morning, he could always be found sprawled out on our bed. Despite my earnest efforts to persuade Mandy against letting Teddy wander freely throughout the house, my words seemed to vanish into the air, unheard and unheeded. To ensure our love life stayed on track, I found it necessary to secure the bedroom door whenever I wished for my wife to enjoy some solitude within those 4 walls. Yet, in that moment, I held on to the thought of unlocking the door and pushing it open afterward. Otherwise, Teddy would wail from behind the door, while Mandy would join in with her own cries from within the bedroom. On this particular Sunday afternoon, everything seemed ordinary until a curious piece of paper fluttered down, landing softly beside a plastic bag. It caught my eye, a credit card, a token from the Ainsley house waiting to unfold its tale. Once upon a time, there was a hotel. a grand country hotel nestled approximately 20 miles from our home. Much like other expansive hotels nestled in the countryside, this establishment boasts a well-regarded restaurant. However, its primary source of revenue flows from the spa and conference center, a hub for seminars, wedding receptions, business dinners, and a variety of other gatherings. While the specifics of the purchase remained shrouded in mystery, the sum hinted at a delightful meal for 2 or perhaps 3, evoking the warmth of shared moments over lunch or dinner. Thinking that Mandy was busy with clients, I figured it would be wise to hold on to the check instead of tossing it aside. I tucked it into my wallet, planning to hand it to her later when the time was right. With a careful hand, I gathered all the snack wrappers and bits of debris, placing them into a plastic bag. I tied it securely and tossed it into the trash, a small act of tidiness. Then, I took the little bug on a journey to the local garage, where we would fill up on gas and ensure the tires and fluid levels were just right for the adventures ahead. The following day, Mandy set off on a business trip to the north, embarking on a journey that would keep her away for several days. In a moment of pause, I found myself with an abundance of time stretching before me, waiting to be filled with stories yet to unfold. Once upon a time, I had a delightful plan to whisk her away for lunch at the charming Fox and Hounds pub. However, she gently declined, sharing that her time was consumed with preparations for her upcoming journey. It was disheartening, for Sunday has long been a cherished day for our family. As I made my way back from the garage, I was greeted by the sight of Mandy lounging in the living room, her feet propped up, deeply immersed in a lengthy phone call with Chloe. It was a familiar scene, a continuation of the cherished tradition our daughters had embraced, calling us every Sunday. As I absorbed the final words of Mandy's conversation, it dawned on me that Chloe was once again navigating a turbulent chapter in her personal life. In a world where personalities shine brightly, Emily embodies tranquility and grace, a serene presence amidst the chaos, while Chloe captivates with her flair for the dramatic, always ready to steal the spotlight. As their sleepovers with the guys deepened, I made an effort to remain composed, all the while conveying my genuine concern for the happenings in their lives. They understand that we stand ready to support them with help or advice. Yet when it comes to sharing secrets or shedding tears, their mother often takes the top spot on their list. Mandy was weaving a tale for Chloe, urging her to let go of the past and embrace the rhythm of daily life. She spoke of the vast ocean filled with possibilities, encouraging her to explore before making a commitment. Uncertainty clouded my thoughts, leaving me at a loss for the guidance I could offer Chloe. In my view, the Latin motto Festina Lente offers a wise perspective on tackling challenges. Take your time, but make sure to keep moving. Take a moment to reflect, and then choose the path that calls to you. Regardless of the circumstances, it is Chloe who holds the power to choose her next step. Reluctant to add to her confusion, I simply asked Mandy to convey my greetings and then made my way to the kitchen to start preparing Sunday lunch. On Sundays, we gathered around the table for our cherished meal of roast beef and Yorkshire puddings, accompanied by crispy chips. There was something soothing about the process of preparing it all, especially when a fine bottle of claret was part of the experience. During dinner, Mandy sat in silence, her mind elsewhere, yet she shared snippets of her phone chats with Emily and Chloe, weaving their stories into the air between us. In a chapter of her life filled with warmth, Emily finds herself in a steady relationship with a kind-hearted companion. Meanwhile, the pages of her academic journey are turning favorably as she celebrates the success of her recent assignments with commendable grades. Once upon a time, Chloe found herself in a tumultuous chapter of her life. Her heart sank when her boyfriend, upon witnessing a fleeting moment of affection between her and another, decided to part ways, leaving her to navigate the stormy seas of heartbreak. I shared my thoughts on the matter, suggesting that perhaps Chloe's boyfriend could overlook her kiss with another, if given the chance to reconsider. Yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that if Chloe chose to explore other options during that time, there might be no turning back for her. Mandy held a contrasting perspective, believing that Chloe ought to let go of the relationship and seek out new avenues for enjoyment. Once dinner was done, I set out with Teddy for a stroll under the evening sky. With care, I secured the little black plastic bag holding his poop, ensuring it was tightly sealed before tossing it into the trash can waiting outside. As the evening unfolded, I found myself in the living room, the glow of the television flickering before me. Meanwhile, Mandy retreated to her office, accompanied by Teddy, diligently working on a presentation for her client. After loading the dishwasher, I made my way to bed. There, I found myself tossing and turning for what felt like an eternity before finally drifting into a restless sleep. In the quiet of the morning, I sensed that Mandy had lingered in the night, but as dawn broke, she was already awake, a figure of early light. Instead of my cherished partner, I stood before Teddy, his foul dog breath wafting directly into my face. Ah, the delightful aroma of a Shih Tzu's morning breath. It's a whimsical wake-up call that can whisk you out of bed in no time at all. With a swift motion, I donned my clothes and led Teddy to his morning ritual before making my way to the kitchen where Mandy awaited. Neither of us were fond of the early hours, and Mandy always required a few cups of espresso to awaken her spirit and embrace the day ahead. As we stood there, the minutes stretched on, and our conversation drifted to the weather, a simple topic to pass the time while we navigated the ebb and flow of the relentless rush-hour traffic on the M25. With a gentle kiss on my cheek, she lovingly petted Teddy, then climbed into her little bug and drove off into the distance. Only after she had departed did the thought of the receipt tucked away in my wallet cross my mind, prompting me to place it on the desk in her office. At that moment, I realized the check had been cleared at precisely 10:18 a.m. It seems that this could be a payment for an overnight stay, yet something about it just doesn't add up. Perhaps she found herself entangled in a business affair, reluctant to return to the comforts of home. Later, I might inquire with her, and surely there would be an uncomplicated reason behind it all. However, with a moment to spare, I chose to delve into my diary and uncover where I found myself on that particular day. As fate would have it, I found myself away from home that week. Yet, I carefully pinned in my diary that Mandy was set to embark on a journey north for 3 nights. She set off on her journey, but fate had other plans. By the time the sun rose and the check was issued, she had only covered a mere 20 miles, finding herself resting for the night at the quaint Ainsley House Hotel. At a business event, I could effortlessly drop her off and pick her up, sparing her the expense of an overnight stay. In the dim light of her office, I found myself fixated on the receipt before me. Her behavior seemed perfectly ordinary to me. We continued to share intimate moments, yet a nagging thought lingered in my mind. Could this be evidence of her infidelity? A wave of astonishment washed over me at this possibility, yet it was the confusion that lingered most in my mind. Little did I know, she was capable of sharing her affections with another, and I found myself without a single suspect in sight. It puzzled me to think why she would choose to reserve a hotel room when she could easily enjoy herself at home during my usual absences. Perhaps she was engaged in both pursuits, or perhaps there existed a wholly innocent explanation for her presence at the Ainsley House Hotel that night. As I lingered in thought, attempting to piece together the puzzle of the situation, it struck me that she could very well be lost in her own reflections regarding her current assignment. With a sense of anticipation, I picked up my cell phone and dialed the number printed on the receipt, holding on to the hope that my doubts were merely figments of my imagination. With a warm voice, I inquired of the kind woman on the other end of the line if she might assist me in reaching their esteemed guest, Mrs. Amanda Carmichael. With a heavy heart, she expressed her deep regret, yet she knew she couldn't follow through. A flicker of relief washed over me, but rather than simply stating that there was no reservation under that name, she went on to clarify that Mrs. Carmichael had yet to register. The clock ticks towards the hour of 12, but for now it lingers at 10:30, a moment suspended in time before the check-in begins. "Would you like to leave a message?" she inquired. Naturally, I could craft a message in this manner. "Your husband reached out. He's curious about what on earth you're doing there." It was a tempting proposition, yet deep down, I sensed it might not lead me to the insights I sought, so I graciously turned down her offer. As I brewed another cup of coffee, I pondered the path that lay ahead of me. In contrast to those steering our nation, I was determined not to squander precious moments in indecision, sidestepping the real issues, or crafting my own narrative of what is true. Venturing to the hotel to meet Mandy may not be the panacea for our troubles, yet it offers a chance for decisive action, regardless of the outcomes that may follow. Perhaps there exists a reasonable and entirely harmless explanation. On the flip side, perhaps she has a bull and is playfully dangling the horns in my direction. I resolved to seize the moment and confront the challenge head-on. With Teddy nestled in the garden, I thought it best to tidy up after him later. I hopped into the car and set off towards Ainsley House Hotel. As I arrived at the hotel, the sun hung high in the sky, casting its warm glow over the parking lot. My eyes caught sight of a small bug scuttling across the pavement, a sign that Mandy had likely already settled in. I found a spot 4 rows away and dialed Mandy's number on her cell phone. Her response came in a heartbeat. "Hello, Michael. How do you fare today? Word has reached me about a grave incident on the freeway, and I felt compelled to reach out and see if you are safe. The roads are a bit tricky today, but I had no idea there was an accident ahead. It unfolds on the M25, a place where perhaps you passed by before the event took shape." Ah, indeed. I find myself journeying through the charming realm of Watford. I appreciate your attention to this matter. All right, just give me a shout when you've made it safely. All right, farewell for now. After absorbing the absurdity of the situation, I felt compelled to wander around the hotel, hoping to catch her off guard. Perhaps she is sharing a midday meal with her beloved, savoring the moments before they embark on their afternoon adventure. If she's not around in the bustling areas of the hotel, I'll pick up the phone and dial her room, inquiring if I might ascend to her quarters for a little conversation. As I stepped into the hotel, my feet carried me towards the inviting brasserie restaurant. The crowd was sparse, and Mandy seemed to have vanished from sight. I chose the lobby bar as my lookout, a perfect spot to observe. Before dialing her room, I settled in, eager to see if she and her companion would make an appearance. I couldn't shake the thought that perhaps, just perhaps, she had her own motives for being there, reasons she chose not to share with me. As I made my way through the lobby, my eyes were drawn to a grand notice board, showcasing the array of function rooms and events unfolding that very day. It seems that Monday unfolded with a serene stillness. Amidst the hustle and bustle, one particular gathering drew me in, the exclusive soiree at the Spa and Fitness Center, set to unfold at 7 p.m. I found myself pondering the intriguing possibilities of a private gathering at a spa or fitness center. Perhaps these are individuals seeking to enjoy the amenities freely, unencumbered by the constraints of clothing. Perhaps my wife has joined a fitness group that embraces naturism. I inquired at the reception regarding a private gathering. The receptionist's brow furrowed in mild confusion at my inquiry, and with a courteous demeanor, she gently informed me that she was unable to share any details regarding the private gathering. To put it simply, it's not my concern. As I found my place in the cozy lobby bar, I called for a steaming cup of coffee to warm my spirit. The waiter who attended to me became quite animated when I inquired about the tales surrounding the nudists at the spa. Indeed, one might refer to them as nudists, yet there is so much more to their tale, he shared with me. Whispers abound about a certain gathering, a clandestine affair hosted by the local club of couples who champion the art of open relationships. It's an event that many know of, yet few openly discuss. "Oh, how enticing that sounds," I remarked, with a hint of feigned excitement. "What are some ways I can uncover more information?" "With great ease. Should you find yourself with internet access, simply embark on a search for the Bottoms Up Club." As I savored a warm sip of coffee, I pulled out my mobile phone and connected to the hotel Wi-Fi, ready to explore the digital world that awaited me. Discovering the Bottoms Up Club in the vast expanse of the internet was quite an effortless journey. To partake in their enchanting gatherings, one must first become a member of the club and embrace its terms and conditions. The annual fee for this privilege, a mere £20. Once upon a time, in a charming local hotel, the clock struck 7, signaling the start of an enchanting evening. The club hosted its Mellow Monday Mix and Pick event, where single men gathered, each having paid a modest fee of £49, eager to embark on a night filled with possibilities. The website shared a narrative on the attire expected of club members, weaving in the detail that masks were a matter of personal choice. At this point, I was convinced that Mandy had arrived at the hotel, drawn in by the allure of Mellow Monday Mix and Pick. That evening, there was a spark in her eyes, a hint of mischief that beckoned me to join her in an adventure. I resolved to seize the moment and see where the night would lead us. I found myself in a difficult situation, torn between my feelings and the need for clarity. I never wished to witness my wife in intimate moments with others, yet I felt compelled to gather undeniable proof, should it lead to the end of our marriage. My scheme would unravel if she spotted me lingering in the hotel lobby, so I polished off my coffee and stepped outside to slip into the car. With a flick of my fingers, I retrieved my cell phone and dialed the number for Bottoms Up Club. A pleasant voice answered, guiding me through the payment process and gently reminding me to bring my ID for entry to the event. She assured me that my personal information would remain confidential, shielded from the eyes of third parties, even those within the club. At the event, a selection of condoms and various masks awaits your discovery, though bringing your own is certainly an option if you prefer. The club's presence will remain hidden from any records of transactions. All purchases will bear the name SJB Services as the vendor. Upon my return home, I settled in to tackle some homework, ensuring that Teddy was all right, and prepared myself for an upcoming meeting with the Bottoms Up Club. There lingered a sense of uncertainty within me, a whisper of doubt that perhaps I wasn't placing my bets wisely. It wasn't until I delved into our finances online, exploring the depths of our ABC bank accounts, that clarity began to emerge. Alas, my horse bore the unmistakable aura of a champion. Throughout the past year, there were regular payments made to SJB Services, likely covering Mandy's membership and the array of events she participated in. I carefully printed out the bank statements, each page revealing a chapter of my financial journey. As the evening unfolded, I found myself back at the hotel, patiently biding my time until the clock struck 8, when I would make my way to the serene hotel spa. A captivating woman in her middle years, adorned in a floral dress, graced a spacious table in the reception area of the spa. As fate would have it, this was indeed the very woman I had conversed with over the phone. With a quick glance at my ID, she handed me a mask and a pack of condoms, sealing the moment with a knowing smile. Though I never planned to use condoms, the need to maintain a certain image compelled me to do so. It seemed I wore my nerves on my sleeve, and she stepped in, her presence a soothing balm to my anxious spirit. "Simply make your way to the gym. Ah, you've arrived a tad behind schedule. Fear not, for a delightful experience awaits you, though a brief moment of patience may be required before you can join the festivities. Our members possess a warm spirit and will embrace you with open arms. If uncertainty clouds your mind, do not hesitate to inquire, for they will surely guide you with unwavering support." With my mask securely in place, I stepped through the door, making my way down the aisle, gliding past the locker rooms, and finally entering the gym. In the room, a gathering of around 70 or 80 souls filled the space, as the organizers endeavored to weave a tapestry of warmth and welcome for all who entered. The warmth enveloped the room, and the soft glow of the lights created an inviting atmosphere, enticing everyone to let go of their garments and their reservations. Soft jazz floated through the air, creating a gentle ambiance that set the mood just right, allowing conversations to flow effortlessly. Just beyond the gym door, a table laden with refreshments stood waiting, yet the real excitement unfolded in another realm. In the room, I noticed 8 large mats draped in white sheets, each surrounded by a gathering of individuals. Some were fully clothed, others partially so, and a few were completely bare, with or without masks adorning their faces. Clad in a jacket and trousers, I found myself possibly a touch too formal for the event at hand. Yet, I had to hold on to that essence if I was to grasp the opportunity that lay before me. A pair of slender young women engaged in a delicate exploration of one another, captivating the attention of the first group I tested. The crowd murmured their approval, a soft wave of agreement rippling through the air. The following ensemble featured 2 seasoned couples, their soft, rounded forms shimmering and undulating as they playfully reached for one another. It unfolded before me as a bizarre, haunting spectacle of a sumo match spiraling into chaos. In the third group, there she was, my wife, glistening and bare, sprawled on a rug against the distant wall, accompanied by 2 young Asian men. Though she bore no mask, I would have known her anywhere, even if she had donned one. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Mandy who wore a small turtle tattoo just above her left ankle, a little piece of art that whispered stories of adventure and whimsy. A handful of onlookers, perhaps 8 or 9, gathered around, their voices rising now and then with comments and encouragement for the 3 engaged in the unfolding scene. Clad in my attire and donning a mask, I remained silent, ensuring that no hint of my existence would reach her ears, leaving no opportunity for her to sense my presence. With a keen focus, I discreetly captured the unfolding events through the lens of my mobile phone, cleverly positioned just beyond the cuff of my jacket, nestled in the palm of my right hand. Though I had signed a confidentiality agreement to gain access, I was determined not to let that hinder my quest for the evidence I sought. Mandy's face will shine through, while I can later soften the features of others in the video. Beside me stood a man of middle age, his attire a striking contrast of black, a shirt and pants that seemed to absorb the light around him. With a twinkle in his eye, he eagerly shared his thoughts on the competition. It's hard to say if this was meant for someone specific, yet it felt as though everyone had a chance to add their voice. "It shatters like a house door caught in the fury of a Force 9 storm," he remarked, voicing the evident truth to an audience of none. After a brief moment of silence, he continued, "Just observe how she found her groove. Indeed, she has a penchant for managing the company of 2 or 3 men simultaneously," remarked a woman, seemingly around Mandy's age, as she embraced a similarly aged man, both in their natural state. She cast a glance over her shoulder at the figure cloaked in darkness. She recounted their encounters a few times, her voice laced with a hint of pride as she displayed her understanding of the topic to him. "I'm certain she would be delighted to have you join in." "That certainly piques my interest," responded the male commentator. A fragment of my thoughts howled in anguish, yet I confined it to a shadowy recess of my mind. In another corner of my mind, clarity and focus took hold, diligently seeking out evidence. I felt a strong sense that I had successfully captured both the vivid scenes of Mandy in motion and the accompanying remarks. No matter how I felt, I had witnessed enough and decided it was time to leave rather than linger and observe any longer. The woman at the spa reception raised an eyebrow, taken aback by my quick departure after just arriving. I smiled and explained that I had forgotten something important and would return shortly. To express my feelings, saying I was upset barely scratches the surface. I found myself grappling with the reality that Mandy was enjoying herself in the company of unfamiliar men. What once held great significance has now been diminished, leaving it devoid of value. In the aftermath of my departure from the hotel, a wave of disbelief washed over me, giving way to a torrent of physical and mental responses to the haunting sights and sounds that lingered in my mind. A wave of nausea washed over me, an unsettling emptiness churning in my stomach, as if bile were gathering in my mouth, reminiscent of the aftermath of food poisoning. In that moment, a wave of sadness washed over me, so profound that I found myself sitting in the car, lost in thought, unable to drive home just yet. Gradually, my thoughts started to weave a protective wall against the tides of resentment, sadness, and grief. Even with my understanding of navigating change in tough times, it didn't make things any easier for me. I had no intention of lingering in the shadows of denial. She shared intimate moments with others. In the end, I witnessed it firsthand. Indeed, anger coursed through me, yet I recognized the unavoidability of transformation. I understood that I must engage with it, adapt accordingly, and steer the course of change as much as I could. For a while, grief and anger walked hand in hand beside me, but I made the choice to rise and take action in this moment. I yearned to forge ahead, not remain ensnared in a cycle of confusion over cause and effect. Upon my return home, a vision began to unfold in my mind. I could see a path where I could seize the reins, navigate the waves of change, and steer towards the outcomes I desired, rather than those thrust upon me. I lingered, curious to discover if the dawn would bring forth the same feelings within me. Make haste, slowly. In the midst of it all, I led Teddy out for a brief stroll, allowing him the chance to take care of his needs. Afterward, I sought to ease the ache with a few sips of Glenfarclas. Despite a restless night that left me feeling less than stellar, the excitement of the upcoming trip with Teddy was undeniable. I've always envisioned Cornwall as the very tip of England's foot. In the farthest reaches to the southwest, where the land meets the vast expanse of the open Atlantic Ocean, lies a place of wonder. In the present day, Cornwall has transformed into a haven for affluent retirees from London who have acquired the quaint cottages that once belonged to the local fishermen. The diligent fishermen gave way to the wise and weathered Mr. and Mrs. Beach, their silver hair and gentle wrinkles telling tales of a life well lived. In the lives of many seniors, loyal pet dogs serve as cherished companions, encouraging them to embrace the joy of daily walks and maintain their health with every step taken together. Once upon a time, I considered whisking Teddy away to the enchanting land of Belgium. However, a little hiccup stood in our way. He lacked an electronic chip and a pet passport, making our adventure impossible. Perhaps it's for the best that he remains unchained, free from the confines of a tracking chip. Regardless of the situation, Cornwall lay farther from Surrey than Brussels did. The journey to Newquay unfolded over 5 hours, punctuated by a brief pause to let Teddy stretch his legs and lighten the burden I had packed and discarded. With a warm smile, the kind lady at the animal shelter gently accepted him from my embrace, as I shared the tale of how I discovered him aimlessly roaming the streets of Newquay, devoid of a collar or any clue to his rightful owner. In an instant, she spotted Teddy as a Shih Tzu, and I attempted to share my joke about the zoo, but it seemed to fly right over her head. She promised me that the little dog would surely find a loving home, even if her original owners remained a mystery, for she was just the type of small companion that older folks often sought out. In my heart, I felt a sense of relief that Teddy remained quiet when I took my leave. He wore an expression of mild confusion, as if a riddle had just danced before his eyes. As I made my way out of Newquay, I felt a pull towards a charming country pub, eager to savor a late-night bite. As I approached the man stationed behind the cash register at the gas station, I inquired about a good spot for lunch. With a knowing smile, he directed me to the White Horse. For a few moments, I gazed at him in astonishment until the meaning of his words began to dawn on me. Not far from where we stood, the White Horse Hotel awaited, its presence a quiet whisper in the air. Before long, I found myself seated at a solitary table in a tranquil nook of the pub, savoring a ploughman's lunch, accompanied by half a pint of fine ale. With a curious glance at my cell phone, I scrolled through the text messages before dialing Richard Blake's number. In the heart of Surrey, there resides a seasoned figure in the world of management consultancy, Jim, a senior partner whose expertise and insights shape the very fabric of the firm. Mandy and I have been acquainted with Jim for quite some time, as he stands as the primary rival of ABC. Jim presents himself as a charming fellow, yet beneath that friendly facade lies a cunning strategist in the realm of business. Not long after Mandy and I embarked on our journey with ABC, Jim unleashed every tactic in his arsenal to undermine us. He extended an enticing opportunity, promising a lucrative position if we were to sever ties with ABC and join him instead. It's clear that Jim would have brought us on board, yet it's likely he would have let us go when it suited his needs. Throughout the years, we chose not to embrace Jim's proposal, yet we crossed paths with him occasionally at different business gatherings organized by the local Chamber of Commerce. Jim leaned in, captivated by every word I shared. In the midst of the pressing circumstances, he graciously consented to rendezvous with me the following day. Upon my return to Surrey, the early evening light had begun to settle in, and I felt compelled to reach out to Mandy to share the tale of Teddy. Though the flames of anger still flickered within me, I found a way to channel that fire into something soothing. I believed I could engage her in conversation without revealing the thoughts swirling in my head. As fate would have it, my cell phone chimed just moments before I had the chance to reach out to her. "Greetings, Mandy," I said. Just as I was reaching for my phone to dial your number, a thought crossed my mind. It is with a heavy heart that I must share some troubling news. This afternoon, Teddy managed to slip away from the confines of the garden. He dashed onto the main road, only to be struck by one of those monstrous multi-axle trucks. In a moment of sheer terror, her voice pierced the air as she cried out, "Oh my God!" What has transpired? Is he all right? Alas, dear Mandy, it seems he has departed. I wasn't a witness to it myself. A stranger approached me on the street. She recounted how she witnessed the dog darting beneath the garden gate, racing down the street with a burst of energy. She was powerless to halt her. The truck driver continued on his path, unwavering and resolute. Maybe he was unaware that he had struck a tiny dog. In that moment, I found myself utterly powerless. He was laid to rest in the back garden. On the other end of the line, Mandy wept for what felt like an eternity, her voice trembling as she whispered something about her dear Teddy. In a moment of contemplation, I considered the unthinkable act of ending the dog's life, yet it felt like a step too far. Indeed, one must establish boundaries at some point. It's hard to hold Tiny Doug responsible for Mandy's choice to explore intimacy with others. If I were to take his life, I would transform into a heartless murderer of dogs. He is not a creature of the wild, like, say, a roaming goat. It filled me with a deep sense of satisfaction to realize that Teddy was thriving in Cornwall, blissfully unaware that Mandy believed him to be long gone and buried. With a heavy heart, I reached out to Mandy, sharing my sorrow and extending a gesture of support by offering to purchase a small headstone for Doug's final resting place. Her emotions surged, and once again, tears streamed down her face, bringing our conversation to a close. Her heart was shattered, and it was evident that tears would flow freely that evening as she grieved her profound loss. On that very day, I had a remarkable meeting with Richard Blake that unfolded beautifully. Once I laid out my requirements, he confidently assured me that his company would likely accept the deal on the terms I suggested. He promised to have their corporate lawyer whip up a draft agreement for my review at the earliest opportunity. As I journeyed home, I paused at a local real estate agency, eager to hear their insights on the potential market value of our house. I believed that sum was quite substantial. Mandy and I found ourselves deep in conversation about our future in retirement, weaving together a plan that involved holding on to our beloved home and transforming it into a rental for others to enjoy. After gathering around the table, we shared our thoughts with our daughters. They embraced the idea wholeheartedly, with one condition: the house must remain ours. It was time for me to weave a new thread into my strategy. I refrained from calling Mandy that night, even though she was likely anticipating news about how she was managing the heartache of losing Teddy. I pondered over it, yet I found no reason to extend my sympathy. She decided to take matters into her own hands, planning to return home late the following day. She mentioned being somewhere near Manchester, but who can say if that's the whole truth? In the shadows of the night, as the world drifted into slumber, I found a flicker of solace. Whatever her schemes and wherever her footsteps led her, I felt a sense of quiet satisfaction, a small taste of retribution for the heartache she had woven into my days. As dawn broke, I found myself pondering the whereabouts of Teddy, only to be struck by the bittersweet realization that he was no longer by our side. A wave of relief washed over me as I realized I would no longer be tasked with feeding and watering him, taking him for walks, or dealing with the aftermath of his mess. This passing thought was swiftly overshadowed by the stark reminder that I had far more pressing matters to address. In England, the professionals who navigate the complexities of divorce are known as family lawyers. They focus on family law, which, as far as I understand, primarily revolves around the themes of divorce and loss. Countless options await, and the distinctions among them are quite subtle, seeking guidance from afar. I reached out and scheduled a meeting with a family solicitor in Dorking. The name of the city tickled my quirky sense of humor, and it was just a stone's throw away. An appointment was bestowed upon me for the afternoon hours. With a moment to breathe, I wandered over to the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority website, exploring the realm of personalized registration plates. My journey then led me to a charming jewelry shop, followed by a stroll through the aisles of a grocery store, all before making my way to Dorking. Amidst the unfolding events, I reached out to various business partners through phone calls. As I approached the family law firm's office, a sense of unease began to weave its way through my thoughts. It was a twist of fate I could never have anticipated, landing me right here, in this very moment. The secretary, with her gentle demeanor, did her utmost to soothe my nerves, presenting me with a warm cup of coffee as I sat in anticipation. The lawyer revealed herself to be yet another middle-aged woman who lent an attentive ear to my tale of sorrow, cautioning me gently against hurrying through the process. For a fleeting instant, I pondered whether she possessed the same fervor as my wife. Yet it dawned on me that her true intent likely lay in prolonging the journey for the sake of financial gain. From what I've seen, lawyers often seem driven by a desire for profit, and seldom refuse potential clients, no matter the specifics of the case at hand. I shared with the lawyer that there was an option to withdraw the divorce petition at a later stage. From where I stood, it seemed improbable, and the lawyer likely had no strong feelings about it. Yet she appeared content that we had explored our choices and reached a consensus to proceed with the divorce due to Mandy's betrayal. As Mandy stepped through the door that evening, she found herself without the meal she had anticipated. It certainly didn't aid my cause when I chose to whip up an intensely fiery beef curry. It was a cherished recipe of mine, yet she found it utterly unbearable. This suited me perfectly, and it provided a delightful reason to indulge in some of the exceptional Scottish craft beer that I cherished during dinner. Text. As I recounted my recent triumph, I shared the tale of the new contract I had skillfully secured during her absence. I shared that I would be heading up north to Yorkshire for a spell, and it seemed she thought of it as just another endeavour, much like the many I had taken on over the years. Her heart ached for Teddy, and the news of my departure for Yorkshire the following morning weighed heavily on her, knowing I wouldn't be back until late Saturday evening. Not wanting to come across as entirely unfeeling, I embraced her after dinner, and together we settled in to watch some television. She wept softly for Teddy, while I inhaled the lingering scents of beer and curry that surrounded her. My journey to Yorkshire was filled with rich experiences. The agreement had been sealed with a simple phone call, and the client stood poised, papers in hand, ready to etch their signature upon the dotted line. Upon hearing the news, several directors I knew were filled with excitement at the thought of my accepting an initial 6-month assignment, with the tantalizing possibility of transitioning into a permanent role. Alongside my fee, they consented to cover the moving expenses, provide temporary lodging in a nearby hotel for 2.5 weeks, and take care of the rental costs for a property in Yorkshire for the rest of the duration. All was in place, allowing me to embark on my task without delay. In that moment, my only choice was to deliberately distance myself from Mandy. As the sun dipped below the horizon, my cell phone chimed, just moments after I had settled into the hotel. Anticipation bubbled within me for a pint or two of the finest local Yorkshire ale, and the thought of spending precious moments on the phone with Mandy felt like a distraction I could do without. Mandy stumbled upon the fish, its body drifting aimlessly in the afternoon light, and she endeavored to share the somber news with me as gently as she could. Unbeknownst to her, she was engaged in conversation with the very man known as the fish killer. Eventually, I stopped providing for them altogether. With a heavy heart, she spoke. I truly regret having to share such unfortunate news, particularly after you held Teddy. In a moment shrouded in uncertainty, I found myself powerless, unable to alter the course of fate that sealed their destiny. Text. I believe you have a point there, Mandy, I responded. The hour has passed for their salvation. Step away from the tank for now. I'll take care of the cleaning and disinfection upon my return tomorrow. On that Saturday, a quiet hush enveloped our home, casting a gentle shadow over the usual vibrancy. It was but a fleeting moment for me, having arrived in the early hours, with my sights set on returning to Yorkshire come Sunday. Once upon a time, there was a long list of tasks awaiting my attention, among which lay the daunting challenge of sorting through a mountain of paperwork. Mandy embarked on a shopping adventure and prepared a delightful dinner, allowing her to momentarily escape the weight of her tasks. The evening unfolded gently as we settled in front of the TV, sipping on a glass or two of wine, captivated by the antics of inflatable celebrities gracing the television chat shows. In that moment, we found ourselves adrift, neither of us yearning for closeness, likely weighed down by the fatigue that clung to us, both in body and spirit, for reasons that were as varied as the stars in the night sky. To my astonishment, after many restless nights, I finally found myself drifting into a deep and peaceful slumber. As I opened my eyes to a new day, the tremors of shock that had gripped my body began to fade, and my mind slowly embraced the reality that lay before me. As the shadows of alienation, uncertainty, and despair began to fade, a fierce resolve took their place, igniting a relentless drive to persevere and extract the silver lining from the darkness. Though a lingering sadness and emptiness resided within me, I recognized that I was not lost in melancholy. Instead, I had harnessed my emotions, directing my attention toward the immediate outcomes I could attain. Once lunch was finished, I loaded the car, shared a tender kiss with my wife, and set off on my journey to Yorkshire. Mandy must have felt a tremor deep within her soul when the divorce papers arrived just a few days later. Without a hint of what was to come, she believed she was merely putting her name down on some routine business documents. Naturally, I was aware of when this moment would arrive and took care to ensure my cell phone was switched off on that day. In the midst of a whirlwind of tasks and responsibilities, I found a flicker of satisfaction in the thought of being free from the demands of being on call, even if just for a few fleeting hours. It wasn't about being unkind. It was simply a moment of respite I cherished amidst the chaos of my busy work life. As I stepped back into my hotel room after a long day at work, I flicked on my phone once more, eager to dive into the text messages and hear the voicemail waiting for me. At the heart of it all, she found herself engulfed in a whirlwind of emotions, upset, confused, and simmering with anger. Without a moment's pause, I reached for the phone and called her back. "What in the world is happening, Michael?" With a directness that cut through the air, she inquired. "That's precisely the inquiry that crossed my mind, Mandy," I responded. But that was merely a week or so past. "I can't quite grasp your intentions, but I truly wish you would cease this," she remarked. "This has ventured far past the realm of mere jest. It feels as though you're diving into the very pages of my tale, Mandy." "What do you mean by that?" she inquired. "Well, Mandy, there came a moment when I found myself curious about your adventures," I shared with her. "Regrettably, the moment has passed to halt it, and it has certainly transcended the realm of mere jest." "What tales are you spinning, Michael?" "Once upon a time, there was a charming establishment known as Ainsley House Hotel, where guests found comfort and warmth. Nearby, the lively Bottoms Up Club beckoned with its vibrant atmosphere, promising unforgettable nights filled with laughter and camaraderie. In that moment, time seemed to stand still, and a deep breath escaped, heavy with unspoken thoughts. "My deepest apologies, Michael," she expressed. I'm at a loss for words. I believed you would remain unaware, for what lies beyond your knowledge holds no power to harm you. Mandy, I've come to realize that I'm aware of it, and it stings deeply. Michael, there's something important we need to discuss, but this conversation deserves to happen face to face. Will you return to our haven on Friday? She inquired. I doubt that words will make a difference, I said to her. On Saturday, I shall make my way to you, dear Mandy, but I must return to Yorkshire by the close of Sunday evening. Upon my return on Saturday afternoon, I found Mandy wearing a look of deep concern. I left my belongings untouched, uncertain of how the unfolding events would shape my journey. I intended to spend the night in one of the guest bedrooms, yet I kept a thought in the back of my mind, an escape route, should the night take an unexpected turn. When confronted with the profound upheaval of home, family, or friendships, the people of Britain often find solace in the simple act of brewing a cup of tea. Mandy gathered us in the cozy living room, each of us cradling a warm cup of tea, and I settled in, eager to hear what she had to share. To begin with, I must be honest and reveal that this entire situation falls squarely on my shoulders, Michael. Silence enveloped me. It is true that I succumbed to the allure of temptation. It was a serendipitous discovery of the Bottoms Up Club that captured my imagination and lingered in my thoughts long after. When I first arrived, your door was closed and the house was silent. In a moment thick with anxiety, I found myself donning a masquerade mask, believing that by concealing my face, I could slip into the shadows and evade the gaze of others. I believed I could simply take a step back, witnessing the magic unfold as others took the stage and dazzled the audience. I lingered in anticipation, eager for her to share more. Initially, everything unfolded just as I had envisioned, she recounts. But soon, various individuals started to draw near, igniting an unexpected thrill within me. Before I knew it, I found myself swayed to step into the fray and take an active role. At first, it sent a shiver down my spine, but after that initial experience, I discovered that these individuals are among the most genuine, trustworthy, and secure souls I've ever encountered. This revelation became yet another reason for me to continue on this path. It turned out that I enjoyed it. I find great intrigue in observing the intimate moments of others, and I also enjoy the thrill of being seen in my own intimate encounters. There's an intriguing notion that engaging in intimacy with others can simply be a delightful experience. It can be simpler than you think. Her gaze met mine, filled with a glimmer of hope and a sense of anticipation. Text. I concur, Mandy, I responded. Engaging in intimate connections with others can bring a sense of excitement and enjoyment. Her smile was a warm invitation, filled with encouragement. In my view, I went on, if you bear no responsibilities to others, you are free to pursue your desires, provided all parties involved are consenting adults. I settled into my chair, the warmth of the tea cradled in my hands, as I observed her smile fade like the last light of day, eager to witness the unfolding of her response. Mandy's actions unfolded just as I had anticipated. With a vision in her heart, she was determined to bring her plan to life. She acknowledged a flaw in her plan, one for which she bore the responsibility. Yet there was a conspicuous absence of an apology, no sign of remorse for the harm inflicted, and no hint that the plan would be abandoned. I understood her deeply, recognizing that she would cling to her pursuit with the tenacity of a dog with a bone. What I occasionally shared with other men held no sway over my feelings for you, Michael, she expressed. My heart overflows with love for you, and the journey we share is truly enchanting. I trust that you can see how enjoying some light-hearted moments with other men in a secure setting doesn't jeopardize the bond we share. If this doesn't pique your interest, feel free to let it pass by. Without your presence, the unfolding tale remains unseen. Text. I believe you might be mistaken, Mandy, I responded. Alas, it seems the hour has grown too late for me to behold anything anew. What do you mean? She inquired. It has come to your attention that there were transactions made to the hotel and club. Did you really catch a glimpse of me in that place? As I gazed into her eyes, a world of stories unfolded before me. As I recall, it was a Monday evening around 8 o'clock, a couple of weeks back, when you found yourself enjoying the company of 2 young individuals from Asia. Whispers linger in the air, suggesting that you have a penchant for the thrill of intimacy in open spaces. Oh my goodness, she exclaimed in surprise. My sincerest apologies. Finding me in that moment may have startled you, but I urge you to grasp that it was merely a matter of physical engagement. It unfolded as a thrilling escapade filled with unexpected twists and turns. That is the extent of its essence. Trust me when I tell you that my heart holds no affection for another, nor do I desire to love anyone else. Reflecting on the past, I realized that I should have reached out to you, yet I hesitated, uncertain if I could share my thoughts. Indeed, you have a point there, Mandy, I replied. It wouldn't bring me joy to hear about your plans. Perhaps the thrill lay in the fact that you were unable to share it with me. I sense the weight of your hurt and disappointment, and I truly grasp where you're coming from, Michael. While I acknowledge that I might have misjudged the situation, isn't filing for divorce a rather drastic response? In light of the situation, I believe that response is quite understandable, I replied. You chose to turn your back on me, offering your heart to others. In my view, this situation is simply intolerable, and that is why I seek a divorce. Mandy's shoulders drooped, and a heavy sigh escaped her lips, a sound filled with acceptance and weariness. Shall we take a moment to ponder the implications of this journey for everyone involved before we embark on this path? It's essential to pause and reflect before we let go of what we know, considering the ripples that may follow our choices. I've already begun to ponder the outcomes, I responded. We can pause for a moment to reflect on this, Mandy, yet I must say, it's improbable that my stance will shift. I departed from Mandy, leaving her to her musings, and made my way to the Fox and Hounds pub for a refreshing beer. Ah, the charm of pubs. Yet, there was something about the Fox and Hounds that never quite wrapped me in its warm embrace. Even after all those years spent in the area, I found myself feeling surprisingly indifferent about its absence. The patrons were predominantly middle-aged, middle-class individuals with an air of pretentiousness, and on any given day, a pint of Yorkshire ale would triumph over a lackluster southern beer. With each sip of the lukewarm, lackluster local brew, I found myself lost in thought, pondering the path that lay ahead. Upon my return, I found Mandy already in the midst of preparing for dinner. I made my way upstairs, lugging my bag into the guest bedroom, and retrieved a few essentials from the master bedroom. As we gathered around the dinner table, our discussion flowed effortlessly, weaving tales of our daughter's latest adventures and endeavors. Chloe, it seemed, had heeded Mandy's counsel and embarked on a quest of her own, seeking a new companion to fill the void left by her ex-boyfriend, who was now entwined with Chloe's best friend, much to her chagrin. Curious about the term BFF, I turned to Mandy for clarification, and she shared that it meant best friend forever. It struck me as improbable that this girl would maintain such a status for an extended period. Mandy has always held the title of my best friend, yet she sensed a chill in my demeanor. Little did she know the depths of the transformation within me, perhaps because I maintained a facade of politeness, never crossing the line into rudeness. It appeared she believed that our dialogue that afternoon had somehow resulted in a truce of sorts. I had no intention of steering her away from this path. On a crisp Sunday morning, I rose with the dawn, prepared a warm slice of toast alongside a steaming cup of coffee, gathered my belongings, hopped into the bug, and set off on an adventure to Yorkshire. I meticulously examined the car and ensured it was free of all Mandy's belongings, including a number of business files I discovered tucked away in the back seat. As I journeyed beyond Watford, the sudden ring of my mobile phone broke the silence. "In what place do you find yourself?" Mandy inquired. "Have you by chance carried the little beetle to the garage?" With a firm resolve, I replied, "No." With the tiny beetle cradled in my hand, I embark on my journey back to Yorkshire. I'm having trouble grasping this. Are you suggesting that you have already departed? What led you to take the little bug, and why was there no farewell? I made the choice to take a tiny piece of a beetle while you remained in your slumber. In that moment, she took a breath, allowing the weight of the information to settle within her mind. In a moment of clarity, she finally spoke, her confusion laid bare. "What steps can I take in the absence of a bug crumb?" "Another car can be your trusty steed." "Ah, the trusty steed I often take for a spin. Though the reasons behind your taking my car elude me, I sense that you are not quite yourself at this moment. Thus, I shall grant you this reprieve, just this once. For a few days, I'll find a way to navigate with another car. Drive with care, and be mindful not to disturb the delicate beetle crumbs along the way." By the next day, I found myself the proud owner of a small red Mazda MX-5 convertible, a gem I had discovered on the lot of a dealership in Yorkshire. With a sense of adventure, I made a trade for the bug, leaving behind the personalized registration plates. All the necessary paperwork was completed, and I took to the digital realm, posting an ad for the cherished plates across various websites. Mandy's frustration bubbled over when she reached out to me last week, only to discover that I had no intentions of making my way back from Yorkshire. "But what steps must I take to reclaim my car?" she inquired. "Absolutely not," I said to her. "It found a new home." "What do you mean by sold?" Her voice pierced the silence, a sharp cry that echoed through the air. "Once upon a time, there was a car that belonged to me." "Well, Mandy, I must say, that's not entirely accurate," I responded. "I acquired it, and my name graces the registration document. Ah, but dear Michael, life often dances to a tune of its own, doesn't it?" "Perhaps," I said in response. "One might say that I bestowed it upon you, and it seems unjust for me to reclaim it now. Yet, it bears a striking resemblance to the actions you took against me." "Oh, come now, Michael," she remarked. "It's a completely different tale altogether. I see where you're coming from, even if it feels a bit small-minded. If you could put an end to this folly and come back home, we could sit down, talk things through sensibly, resolve it, and continue with our lives." "Trust in me, Mandy," I promised, "and I shall return to you." For the next week, Mandy reached out to me daily, urging me to return to Surrey so we could sit down and unravel everything together. The dialogue had a familiar rhythm, a predictable cadence, until that fateful day when she discovered I had parted ways with my stake in ABC. "What led you to make such a choice by yourself?" She wove a web of torment around me. "What held you back from sharing this with me?" As the second shareholder of our company, it would be wise to consult with me before embarking on such bold ventures. With a steady demeanor, I addressed the inquiries that were posed. I understand that you hold the position of the second shareholder of ABC, and I recognize that my actions will have a significant impact on you. Oh, Mandy, I can truly feel the weight of your anger and frustration over my choice to act on my own without bringing you into the conversation. I understand that my intentions may not align with your expectations, yet I must clarify that seeking your approval for the sale of my shares in ABC was not necessary for me. I understand your emotions deeply, as I experienced similar feelings when I discovered your choice to engage with others intimately. Though I understand your feelings of distress, the choice made stands firm and cannot be reversed. Embrace the unfolding of events and find your way through the transformations that come your way. "You're a scoundrel, Michael," she spat, her voice laced with venom. When I called again a few days later, her voice erupted like a storm, filled with screams and shouts, each word tangled in a fury that made it nearly impossible to grasp the meaning behind her rage. In the beginning of our journey, we all held an equal share of the company. Unbeknownst to her, I had come into possession of my father's shares, elevating my stake to a commanding 51%. In a twist that few anticipated, the new majority owners of ABC took a bold step by freezing the company's bank accounts. They summoned the company to an extraordinary general meeting where the air was thick with tension as proposals to replace the board of directors and finalize the takeover loomed large on the agenda. Mandy, with a fire in her eyes, expressed her frustration about losing access to ABC's cash reserves. "Do you not see, Michael? Once upon a time, ABC found itself in possession of a treasure trove with more than $200,000 nestled safely in the bank. Your actions have led to a loss of our control over these funds. In this moment of uncertainty, I find myself at a crossroads, pondering the path ahead. Alas, it seems the funds for our pension have slipped through our fingers." Regretfully, I found the words to convey the unfortunate news as she took a moment of silence. Yet, there remains the silver lining of employment. A breath was drawn sharply. "Oh my goodness," she exclaimed, coming to the realization of my words. In that moment, an enveloping hush settled over everything. And then, like a haunting echo in the night, I heard the unmistakable sound of mournful sobs before she slipped into unconsciousness. Mandy came to understand that the arrangement I struck with Richard Blake considered ABC's financial situation and other resources. Unbeknownst to her, in return for 51% of the shares, I acquired a sum that was double the average annual turnover of the past 5 financial years, along with an amount equivalent to the cash reserves. In the unfolding narrative of their agreement, Jim extended an invitation to Mandy, proposing that she remain as a general consultant for a minimum of 2 more years. This arrangement came with a benchmark annual salary and the promise of additional rewards tied to her performance. Jim was no fool. It was clear to me that having her as the face of ABC would bring great benefits. In the midst of the divorce, the decision was made to sell our home. The journey of buying and selling houses in England is filled with challenges. Bids frequently hinge on a series of interconnected transactions, where the bidder relies on another party to purchase their property before they can proceed with acquiring yours. Imagine this. Just when you think you've secured the best deal, a last-minute contender swoops in, outbidding you with a higher offer right after the official closing date. It's a twist that keeps the excitement alive. Let me take you on a journey through the events that unfolded in our home. On the day of closure, The most enticing offer hinged on a series of interconnected transactions that would ultimately lead to our financial gain. Yet, on the very next day following the closing date, the real estate agent found themselves presented with a slightly more enticing offer, free from any chains or other hindrances. It brought me great joy when we chose to embrace the unconditional offer, and I sensed a wave of relief wash over Mandy as the deal came to fruition. At this juncture, she had fully embraced the reality that our paths were destined to diverge. In the document that sealed the fate of the property, the new custodians of the abode were revealed as Max Payne Associates. I took great care to keep the identity of the individual behind Max Payne Associates shrouded in mystery. I came to the conclusion that this was a wise choice for the future. In a prime location, the house stood ready, a hidden gem waiting to be transformed into a source of income for a change management consultant navigating the vibrant landscape of Yorkshire. It had been a while since I last heard from Mandy, but out of the blue, she reached out to me, inquiring if I had caught a glimpse of her wedding dress. As the day of celebration approaches, our daughter Emily and her boyfriend are on the brink of tying the knot. It seems that Mandy has a heartfelt wish for Emily to don her wedding dress, adding a touch of nostalgia to this momentous occasion. Mandy pondered if it had been inadvertently included among my belongings when we parted ways. "My apologies, Mandy," I said. "Alas, the whereabouts of your wedding dress remain a mystery to me." I make it a point to share the truth in all my tales. Once upon a time, I found myself in possession of a beautiful dress, a treasure that I eventually parted with. It found a new home with a charming lady in Yorkshire who had just opened her delightful little shop, brimming with promise and new beginnings. There's simply no chance I would allow my wife to hold on to this wedding dress. In light of her betrayal of promises made, I was resolute in my decision to ensure that my daughters would not don that attire when I had the honor of walking one of them down the aisle. A few days later, Chloe reached out to me. "Mom is absolutely livid, Dad," she declared with great flair. She has just uncovered the truth. The diamond ring, once a shining emblem of eternal love, is nothing more than inexpensive jewelry. It requires a mere pittance. "Alas, what a sorrowful turn of events," I responded. She might have believed it was a precious ring, and I can only imagine the disappointment and sadness that must have washed over her. She might have remained blissfully unaware of the truth had she not taken the initiative to look deeper. At times, life unfolds in unexpected ways. Individuals often invest their emotions in objects, only to face deep disappointment when the worth of those items falls short of their expectations. Indeed, the original ring rests securely within a safe deposit box at my bank, tucked away from prying eyes. Who can say? Perhaps it will prove useful when I encounter someone truly extraordinary. Join us on this journey by subscribing to our channel, ensuring that your second chaff remains loyal. Now, prepare to dive into the next tale, for this one is merely a prelude to the adventure that awaits. For those who are not yet 18, it's best to steer clear of what's coming next. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like and leave your comments because it is very important for the development of the channel and gives you ideas to continue collecting stories and sharing the next stories. Wishing you always joy and happiness. See you again in the next video. Goodbye.